You're tuned into Balanced Life. Your Balanced Life podcast with Dr. Chris Biles, a space for people who want more energy, better recovery, calmer days, and long-term health without the hype or confusion. Here, we talk about nutrition, fitness, stress, habits, hormones, and everyday wellness in a way that feels practical, supportive, and real-life focused. Because supplements aren't the goal, your lifestyle, your strength, and your well-being are. This is about intentional health and a life lived in balance. Welcome to a balanced life. Welcome to a balanced life.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Balanced Life podcast. I am your host, Dr. Chris Biles. Hope you're all doing well and hope you're having a great week. Soon to be the weekend. Hope you got any plans. What's your plans? What are your plans for the weekend? What do you plan on doing? Are you going to go see a movie? So many good movies coming out this weekend. Mortal Kombat. If you haven't seen the Michael movie yet, highly recommend it. Loved it. But what is your plans? What are you going to do? What are you going to do to rejuvenate yourself after this long week? If you have to work for the weekend, on the weekend, I apologize to you. I mean, I understand sometimes you have to do what you got to do, and I am not mad at that. I just hope that you're able to get some rest and to rejuvenate yourself, which we've been talking about. Last week, we kind of dived into resetting your mind a little bit, getting off the cell phones a little bit more. But today, we're going to actually dive a little bit more into this wellness topic, talking about the mind and certain things like that. So with that being said, let me go ahead and preface all of this that I'm about to say by this information is from educational purposes only. By no means does it constitute any type of medical advice whatsoever. If you need any type of medical attention whatsoever, please go seek a medical professional immediately. Don't forget about the naturopathic doctors, the dietitians, so forth and so on. Those people that can help you get healthy and live a longer lasting, healthier life. All right. With that being said, getting out the way, I hope you're all doing well. And with that, without any further delay, let's get right into the topic. All right, guys. So we're going to be talking about our mind. Okay. Just knowing 100% that our mind is an environment. Okay. Your environment is how well you keep your environment depends on how well it treats you, right? So using this little example of your house, right, where you stay at. Now, if your house is junky, if it's, if you got to the point where you're like hoarder status, your environment's not healthy anymore, right? Like I've seen plenty of videos. You've probably seen them yourself, especially when you look at those shows like Hoarders. Many times when the situation is too bad, too neglected, you start seeing health issues arise from it being roaches, what have you, that's living in the filth that these people have created for themselves. Now, your mind is almost actually the exact same way. You're not going to get physical roaches, so to speak, but you will receive, roaches of your mind, brain rot, as they call it. There are certain things that comes along with having a cluttered mind, right? Unfortunately, we don't think about our mind in this instance. We don't talk about our mind in instance of like an environment, right? We don't even talk about our mind as protecting our mental space, right? We want to protect more of our schedule, our productivity, but our mind, we kind of leave that, to the forefront, or like we just gloss over that. We don't think about our mind at all, right? Because honestly, we think about the truth is this: not everything deserves access to your thoughts, your attention, your emotions, or your peace. But unfortunately, in today's world, we do that. We currently expose our mind, our thoughts, our peace to all types of opinions, all types of negativity, all types of noise, comparisons, bad news, arguments, right? Many times we see people, they love drama, they love arguments, they love negativity. So if that's what's there, they're gonna gravitate toward that. That's why you see certain shows such as like the Bad Housewives, so these type of things, were showing a lot of negativity and ignorance, as I like to say. People gravitate toward that, right? Endless content, right? And after a while, your mind starts carrying these things. Um, it was never meant to hold all day long, right? So today we're going to talk about why mental space matters, how overstimulation actually affects your wellness, and signs your mind needs protection. And lastly, like anything on this show, we like to talk about solutions. So we're going to look at how to create healthier boundaries mentally and emotionally. All right. So again, let's look at our mind as an environment. And I just gave you that quick little analysis of Hoarders, the show Hoarders. Okay. So our mind is our mind, our body, our health is your environment, right? Again, we think about our environment as only our home or our workspace, or your city. Okay. But your mental environment matters, actually, probably more than all that. But your mental environment matters. Think about this. If you spend hours a day consuming stressful content, negativity, conflict, constant comparison, unfortunately, our minds adapt to that atmosphere. Okay. I know people that's all there's, they don't have nothing nice to talk about. They don't have nothing nice to talk about. They're constantly, every time you turn around, they have a negative story. It's not like how you doing and then, let me hear about something good in your life. Is continuously negative, right? So your mind adapts to that. If that's what you're feeding it with, that's what you're getting, right? It's just the opposite end. Like for those of you who read the Bible, the word mentions this, that faith comes by hearing, but by hearing by the word of Elohim, or God. Well, if you're constantly hearing that word, then what are you producing? You're producing the fruits that's off of that word. Flip side, if you're constantly hearing negativity, if you're constantly striving for negativity, then you're going to be producing the same fruits in your life, negative wise, right? And you don't have to look at the Bible in that sense. People that are highly successful, they distance themselves from people that are highly negative. They distance themselves from people that's all they talk about, that are like the crab in the barrel mentality. They distance themselves from that. And only those who actually hang around those type of people, you think of, like the word, like the parable says, or the proverb says, a bad apple ruins the whole bunch. Okay. Well, if you can't get rid of the bad apples in your life, or the things that's causing you to rot, guess what? You're going to rot. Okay. So again, your mind adapts to that atmosphere. Even if you do not realize it immediately, it happens, right? Your thoughts become heavier. Your focus becomes weaker. Your nervous system stays activated. We've been talking about this for a while now, but we've actually went over this before with the nervous system. The nervous system is very powerful. And the more we put negative things in our nervous system, the more our nervous system adapts. And then what happens? It pushes out, or it starts bringing forth sicknesses in our bodies, right? And unfortunately, we don't want to do that, okay? So because if we are constantly stuck in this whole mentality of negativity, if you start feeling mentally rested, you stop feeling mentally rested. Not because something is wrong with you, but because your mind never gets clean air, right? I lived in California for a whole lot of years, and this is a long time ago, but I lived in California for like 10 years, Los Angeles, Southern California to be exact. And there'd be times when they would say, be careful of the air quality outside because of the smog, right? Well, the air quality is not clean. And so far, being outside long periods of time can cause you to be sick as well. So it's the same thing. When your body and your mentality, your mind is in this gutter, so to speak, or in this smog of negativity, then you're never getting clean air, and you're constantly feeling this sense of the it starts translating to other things like depression, and it's just it's a never ending struggle and factor that can happen in our lives at the drop of a dime. But again, it doesn't necessarily happen immediately, but over time. That's like anything with your body. When you are constantly doing something, or you're doing something, you're working a physical job, and you're doing a position, like you're working overhead and you're doing something where you're constantly, this is your all day long, you're screwing something overhead. Well, this is a bad position for your shoulder to be in 100%. Now, an injury might not immediately happen like that, right? But over time, you're working this job 30, 20 years, 10, 15 years, and all of a sudden you done tore your rotator cuff from that position. Like, again, a lot of injuries happen not from sports related accidents, it happen from jobs. Another topic, another story for another time, but it's the same thing. If your mind's not getting clean air, then eventually it's going to show up in depression or other type of physical ailments that we are trying to avoid. Okay. So what do we do? Well, first off, you need to understand that not everything deserves access. Not everything deserves your attention, right? This is the lesson like I had to learn personally. It's just because something is available does not mean it deserves access to you. Just because you can do something, you have the ability to do something, don't mean you should, right? Just because I have the ability, like people that are psychopaths and they murder people, just because you can do something, don't mean you should, right? And hopefully, for those type of people, if that's what you do, then there is consequences for your actions, right? Doing something that might be the extreme, but doing something that is negative, or thinking of something as negative, then now it becomes a little bit of consequence for your action, because eventually your body's going to say, again, we talked about this before, but your body's going to say, screw you. I am not going to continue with this. You can stay in that if you want to, but I'm departing from that, whatever, right? It just shows up in different ways. Again, just because something is available does not mean it deserves access to you. Not every conversation, and I'll say it again, not every conversation, not every headline, especially now this last year with the political climate that we're in. Again, I don't care what affiliation you are with, but again, this whole year has been some negative, very, very negative on both sides, on all sides, right? Very negative, very dangerous, very divisive, right? But again, not every headline, not every conversation, not every comment section, especially if you were on social media, not every opinion, not every piece of content deserves access to you. And honestly, some things are quite draining, right? Some things are draining. And if you're doing it every day, that's constant drainage on you, on your nervous system, on your body, on your mind, on your health, right? Because look, man, your body, your mind was never designed to absorb unlimited information all day long, right? There was a time period 20 years ago, the news would only come on for an hour. Excuse me, come on for an hour, maybe in the morning, maybe in the evening. Prior to cable, there was only a few channels, so you were not access to all that. But now we have these cell phones. Either you're on social media or you got the news, those news sources at your face, or you turn on the internet, and like every time you turn around, there is constant information being put at you all day, every day. And we were not designed for this. We were not designed to constantly have this in our minds and our lives on a daily basis. Now, this question is, does it mean that we've got more crazy things going on out there in the world, or we just have more access to it? I think it's a little bit of both. But regardless, we don't need this much information in our lives, right? We have to, and knowing this, we have to really become intentional about our mental space, right? It's draining you. It can drain you, right? And then honestly, if you think about it, if you really focus on the things that you can't control, what is that going to do for you? Like, you can't control it. There are people out there that if you and I'll say it, that are wicked, and this is their sole purpose is to try and destroy things. Me, myself, and I'll speak for myself, I don't have the power to do anything about these pinky in the brain plans that's going on there in Earth. So by me focusing on it and not focusing on the one that created me, or focusing on something else that's going to be positive, or bring a true change into my life and my environment, it's wasted energy. And I'll just be honest with you, from what I believe, and what I think that is most necessary, right? Our food is being poisoned. Okay, so knowing this, what am I going to do? Am I going to keep going to the store and eating poisonous food, or am I going to figure out a solution to make it better for me and my family, right? Now, for the way I'm thinking about that as far as food goes, the way same thing we'd be thinking about our mental, right? We should be more intentional about what matters in our mental space, right? Just like we read labels. If you're trying to get quality food, or you're reading your labels, you should really be mindful about what's going on, not only in your physical body, but in your mental body, right? Same way you think about healthy food, healthy habits, getting up and working out 5 days a week, healthy routines. You also have to think about healthy input, healthy conversations, and healthy environments mentally. You have to think about these things, right? There's a lot of mental health problems going on the earth right now. Maybe because we're focusing on things that are out of our control and not focusing on things that are in our control. I don't know. I'm just saying and putting it out there for you, okay? Because just like what we consume physically, right, affects how we feel physically, what we consume mentally also will eventually affect how you feel physically, as well as like the way you think, those type of things, okay? The problem is, with all this stuff that's going on around the earth, the stuff that we're consuming, right? Having all this access 24 hours a day. Hopefully it's not 24 hours a day. Hopefully you need some sleep. But all the stuff we're getting access-wise on a daily basis, our mind needs a reset. And these are some signs, if you're really thinking about it and you're really paying attention to this, these are some signs that you should think about and you should pay attention to, as to maybe my mind needs a reset. Okay? So sometimes we think we're lazy or unmotivated, when really our minds are overloaded, right? Work, school, those type of things are mentally, my dog, mentally draining all by itself. Now you add that on top of the stuff that you're consuming on a daily basis that, like I said, we have no control over whatsoever, right? So again, our minds are being loaded. So here are a few signs that your mental space may need protection, okay? So number one, you feel mentally tired all the time. Now, we've talked about a few different topics in the past few weeks where we talked about how, you maybe feel tired no matter how well you're doing something, right? This is also one of those type of situations. You feel mentally tired all the time. You cannot focus deeply anymore. Quiet feels uncomfortable. If that's you, you might need a mental reset. You constantly reach for stimulation. Like, I need my phone. What's going on? Let me scroll. Let me do this. Let me scroll through the feeds. Let me do that. Okay. Your thoughts feel crowded. You feel emotionally drained after scrolling, right? And you struggle to stay present. I've been on back and before I got married to my wife. I would go on dates with women and they'd have their phones on them and they're never present. I'm like, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been guilty of doing that too. Like I get home and after I have my dinner and everything, we hang out with my wife. A lot of times I do want to go into the feed and, um, but she'll start talking to me and I'm not present because my focus is somewhere else, and then that bothers her. But we, we, we maybe I might need a mental reset. Who knows? But these are some signs, okay? And one of the biggest signs that we never really talk about, you cannot fully relax even when you finally have time to rest. You might need a mental reset. That usually means your mind has been overstimulated for so long. I talked about this last week that, sometimes if we're getting less than 6 hours of sleep, our mind never shuts off to get a rest. So your mind is always on. So you're constantly being overstimulated, and don't let you have a crazy dream or something like that, or you watch something before going to bed and now it's entering your mind, or you got the TV on while you're sleeping and it's entering into your mind while you're sleeping into your dreams. Your mind's getting overstimulated, like way too much. It's too much, right? So knowing that and then paying attention to those signs, now what? Well, the goal is to try to protect your mental space. Okay? We're going to think practically for a second, because protecting your mental space does not mean disappearing from life. Again, you can't disappear from life, especially if you have responsibilities like children. You can't disappear from life, right? But it just means becoming more intentional in how you overcome or step away from this overstimulation that's been going on for so long in your life. All right. With that being said, I think that is a perfect time for us to take a break. And when we come back, we are going to dive into some different solutions on how to reset your mind and change this mental rut that you may be in. All right. With that being said, guys, take a deep break. Well, not too deep. But we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back after word from our sponsors.
Stop scrolling at 2 a.m. I used to lie awake replaying every conversation, every mistake, every worry. Then I discovered Mood Balance Plus. This natural supplement does not just mask stress, it supports a balanced stress response. Within weeks, my mind felt quieter, my mood more stable. No more 3 a.m. anxiety spirals or emotional roller coasters. If you are tired of stress controlling your life, try Mood Balance Plus and feel the difference.
All right, everybody, welcome back to A Balanced Life podcast. You know who it is. You know what time it is. Let's get into some solutions. All right. So we've been talking about being overstimulated in our mind, fixing our environment, our mental environment, so that we're not overstimulated and not causing any unnecessary health problems to ourselves because we were constantly overstimulated. Okay, so number one, here are some things that we're going to look at on trying to help rebalance yourself or to give yourself a mental break. Number one, reduce unnecessary noise. Reduce unnecessary noise. Not every moment needs background videos, notifications, endless scrolling, right? Give your brain moments to breathe. Just like you cannot work out continuously, or go to work continuously for 8 hours straight without taking a break. Your mind is the exact same way. Give your brain moments to breathe. That means if you are going to scroll on your phone, or if you are going to watch something that maybe that's a little bit negative, give yourself a time period. Set a timer, maybe 20 minutes, and then after that, turn it off. Right? Or before you come in the house, before you do any of that stuff, or before you wake up in the morning, set yourself a mental note that I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give myself 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes to myself to breathe, and to readjust my mind so I can not deal with this. Okay. Number two, be selective about what you consume. Right? Ask yourself before you even get it, does this leave me feeling clearer or heavier? right? And that question changes everything. And if you're one of those type of people where you think that it's gonna make you feel heavier, you don't need to consume it. Just cut it off, pack it up. You know what I'm saying? Pack that up, son. Right? Get rid of it. Number 3, read more long form content. Read more books, articles, thoughtful conversations, right? There are articles, research articles you can find on PubMed. You can go and go to a library. There are things you can do that will change your direction, your mind, right? You can read nonfiction. You can read. I can't do nonfiction. I have to do fiction. I'm sorry. I can't do fiction. I have to do nonfiction. You can read certain novels. You can read magazines, those type of things, right? Read thoughtful conversations. Listen to podcasts, okay, but however, if we're trying to separate ourselves from negative stuff, you might want to be careful about what type of information you're consuming, even on podcasts, right? Your brain needs depth, not just speed. Let's think about that. Our brain needs depth, not just speed, okay? Number 4, protect your peace without guilt. Your peace is your peace. That means if you gotta not answer a family member's call so you can get your peace, protect your peace, right? You don't have to absorb every debate, every crisis online, every opinion, right? Boundaries are healthy, boundaries are necessary, and boundaries actually help you protect you and save you mentally, right? You need mental boundaries as well, right? Instead of worrying about setting standards or boundaries for the type of people you date, set standards or boundaries about what you're putting into your mind, what you're looking at. If it's something that's coming off negative right off the bat, just turn it off, right? Sometimes you need a break. You don't need to be consuming so much negativity on a daily basis, okay? There's physical ramifications that come from doing that every single day, right? Your health, high blood pressure, all that type of stuff. Stress, it is a silent killer, and not necessary in the long run. All right. Next, you want to support your energy. Okay, supporting your energy, helping your body stay nourished, or create daily healthy routines. Okay, sometimes the small, consistent things matter most. We talked about this before. Again, this is a health and wellness conversation here. So anything that you can do to help your body stay nourished, to help it stay healthier, to do healthier routines, whatever that is, do it. Okay. There's wellness support out there. We're promoting a lot of products from Balanced Life Supplements. They have some great wellness products as well. But again, it doesn't matter if you're taking stuff if you're not going to physically do things to remove yourself from something that's negative. Okay. 100%. Just not going to help out. Okay. We want to make sure that we are doing every single thing possible to be careful. Okay. Another part. Stop thinking that peace is a form of wellness. No, sorry. Don't think peace is a form of laziness. Think of peace as a form of wellness. Okay. Here's what I hope people understand more deeply. Peace is not laziness. Peace is not weakness. Peace is health. And protecting your mind is a part of protecting your health. Okay. Because when your mental space becomes healthier, you think clearer, you sleep better, you feel calmer, right? And you make better decisions. And honestly, life begins to feel lighter, not perfect, but lighter. Again, we're striving for perfection, in whatever way that comes. The journey was what's important, right? So we're not going to get to the journey unless you take those steps. And perfection, especially in this case, could be different for everybody, right? It's all relative. But at least want to feel lighter. Life is rough enough as it is to constantly be worrying about stuff that, again, we have no control over, right? So let us focus on things that we can control. Your overall health, the way you eat, what you're drinking, what are you putting into your body. Sometimes we're so focused on trying to escape things, we're putting negative poison into our body, and we think we're just going to deal with it later on. Well, we got to be careful about doing those type of things. Okay, we want to really, really stay away from doing too much stuff that's going to escape from reality. There's ways to escape from the negativity by doing just the things we talked about in today's show, right? Number one, not consuming so much negativity, right? Now, whatever you feed your mind is going to, remember, whatever you feed your mind is going to translate into your health, right? So if you're feeding negativeness into your mind on a regular basis, then your health is going to be struggling as a result of that. Okay, I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but I saw a lady online. Speaking of online again, saw this lady that she was now having problems. She couldn't. I think she had a stroke. She couldn't talk. She was having problems. It was, she had to make sure right away that she made sure to let you know in the captions that it was she was not doing drugs. It was that she was so stressed out and so worried about every little thing that it translated to her having so many problems speaking, and I think it did give her a stroke. You guys, protecting your health, protecting your peace is not just protecting your peace from negativity. It's protecting your peace from health issues that we shouldn't even want to wish on anybody, right? So why not protect it? Protect these things, okay? So we just touched the surface today, guys. It's a quick one, but we just touched the surface today. We gave you a little bit of tips on how to navigate through this noise that we're seeing as we keep scrolling through our phones on a regular basis all day long, especially if you're on the news feeds or social media, what have you. I gave you just a little bit of tips, right, on how we can navigate through that, so we're not bogged down, or we're not killing ourselves slowly by this information. Okay. So if you needed this reminder today, here it is. Okay. If you needed this reminder today, here it is. This was for you, right? Somebody's probably been telling you this already. You've not been listening, but here I am, an outside person, don't know you, and I'm telling you again, you need to step back from these things so you can live healthier and stress-free, right? 100%. So you need this reminder today. Here it is. Not everyone deserves access to your mind. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, to your mind, to your energy, right? You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to step back from noise, right? If you're in a loud environment, you want to get away from it. You're allowed to choose healthier mental environments, right? What good is going to therapy if you're not going to practice what the therapists have told you? Sometimes the therapist is telling you some good things, but wants you to practice this beforehand. Okay? You're allowed to choose healthier mental environments, and sometimes the healthiest thing you can do for yourself is give your mind room to breathe again. All right? With that being said, guys, I thank you so much for spending this time with me today on a Balanced Life podcast. And if this episode has helped you, share it with someone who may need this reminder too. Okay? I'll see you in the next episode. Till next time, stay balanced. Take care of your mind, guys. Again, we only get one mind, one body. And might as well take care of it to the best of your ability. Till next time, stay balanced and take care of yourself. All right then.
Thanks for listening to A Balanced Life with your host, Dr. Chris Biles.
Take care of your body, your mind, and your spirit.
Keep moving forward. See you next time.